Hello. So we're still in the single digits of the posting every day, I think. I'm not sure how I'm going to load all these into YouTube. I'm trying to do it to where people aren't like super confused and the algorithm's not totally confused. So I'm trying to group things and post them kind of cohesively. It's all going to be on one video podcast tab in YouTube. So you'll be able to get the whole 61-day series as it progresses. If you want to, you might not want to. The other thing is, I'm also getting ready to go on a trip to Mexico to do a whale shark trip where I'm snorkeling with whale sharks and going to an island in Mexico or outside of Cancun. And so I need to do a video on what I'm packing and what I'm bringing and things like that, and how to travel to Mexico on a little bit of a tight budget. I think that as times get tougher, everyone's going to look for ways to save as much money as possible. So that will be one of the videos that we have coming up. And then this channel, the Capturing Chris, is kind of a catch-all for every video I do. And then I'm going to kind of micro expand. So if you only want to see the travel videos and not learn about my story and what's going on, you can do that. If you only want Capture by CK, real estate and photography tips, you can do that. If you only want travel, you can do that, capturing the journey. So lots of choices, but this is where, it's the crazy story of posting. The Capturing Chris channel is where I'm going to be posting, the results and talking about my journey of posting every day for the next 61 days. And really the main reason I'm doing that is to get better at YouTube, because I know I kind of suck. But that's okay. I mean, if you don't practice, you're not going to get better. So what, the last video we were talking about the traumatic brain injury and dealing with the chiropractor. Fast forward probably 6 months. And the doctor just told me that I was at 35% brain function, and I'd be lucky to get that up to 75% if I worked real hard and came to all the appointments. So I committed to not only doing the appointments, but researching what else to do. So one of the things that worked for me, and that is pretty popular amongst people that suffer from a traumatic brain injury or a stroke, is to eat more healthy, cut out alcohol because alcohol kills brain cells. Don't smoke. I'm not a smoker, so that was not a big deal. Exercise, be active. All these things that were, not the easiest things. Eating healthy, that's a lifestyle choice, so that's not like overly difficult. But the exercise, when you're constantly in a little bit of discomfort, it's a little bit harder to exercise. I did still exercise, and I would always trying to push myself to go a little bit farther. So I think I shared with you the first day after the accident, I could only go like 400 yards, and I had to rest, and I was dizzy. So that went away after the first month. Continued seeing the chiropractor. It loosened me up and kind of got me prepared for more of a normalcy. Was with the orthopedic surgeon, evaluated my wrist, knee, and neck, as well as my back, because I had a bulging disc in my back. And he's like, all right, so you need surgery on your neck. You got a hairline fracture in your neck. And I knew that. He's like, we'll schedule it. He wasn't in a big hurry to schedule it because it wasn't really clear on who was going to pay for this. It's on a contingency kind of letter of protection thing. but it was very unclear about what even my policy limits were and stuff. So he wasn't in a big hurry to get the surgery. And I wasn't in a big hurry to make insurance pay for it because I didn't want to. I had this feeling that if it was caused by the accident, I'd be out of pocket for that. And it was an expensive surgery. So I kind of put off scheduling. I didn't press for the surgery. He's like, eventually we need to schedule the surgery. I'm like, all right. I go get another MRI. We're doing some brain stuff. And I'm improving. So I see daily improvement. I'm doing these games, and what I'm noticing is the more I use my brain, one, the more tired I get, and two, I get a little bit better every day. So for the next year and a half, I woke up wondering, am I over the concussion? Am I over the concussion? Um, I am not over the concussion today, and it's 5 years later. I still get very tired. I still forget things. It's very frustrating, but I'm a lot better than I was before. But so I get the MRI, and I have the same doctor. I've used the same doctor for at least 20 years, 25, 30 years. So she knows me, and she's like, Chris, I just saw your MRI. She calls me on the phone. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I know. I had to get an MRI. He goes, this neck injury is no joke. I mean, as clumsy as you are, and I'm a little clumsy, you could really wind up dead or paralyzed if you just fall while you're walking. She goes, you need to have this surgery. Well, that freaked me out. It's like you have the same injury that Christopher Reeves had, who was Superman, who got thrown from a horse, and he became paralyzed. He's like, it's not as severe, but it's the same type of injury. If you get another jolt like that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And so that I put me in a panic. And I'm still not thinking clearly. So I'm trying to understand what I need to do. So I call my lawyer. I'm like, you are friends with this orthopedic surgeon. Get me in for this, for this surgery. I'm like, apparently it's a big deal. I'm like, I'm risking a lot by every day that goes by that I'm not having this surgery. So she made some calls and got me in. And 3 months later, I did have the surgery, and the surgery was very successful. I had to wear a neck brace for 2 weeks. And got me in. And 3 months later, I did have the surgery, and the surgery was very successful. I had to wear a neck brace for 2 weeks. Again, I'm dealing with the brain injury, so I'm not remembering all of the instructions of what to do and everything. But one thing, after it was all said and done, we did a treatment that used platelets from my blood, called platelet-rich plasma, and it keeps the swelling down, and it helps the create bone quicker, not better bone, but quicker bone, and also helps with scarring and inflammation. So if you ever have a surgery where you can get PRP done, if you're doing a major surgery and they offer it, it's worth $500, because the healing is just incredible. But anyway, he's like, oh, you're probably going to be out for, not the most mobile person in the world for 6 weeks. But then at the 2 week checkup, he's like, God, I can't believe how well you're doing. And it was because, and I know why, it's because I was eating better, I was exercising, and I wasn't drinking, and I was just living a more healthy lifestyle. And because of that, I was healing at like twice the rate of they expect from someone my age. So, if you're ever having a procedure, having a surgery, even if it's a dental surgery, you need this, maybe give up smoking for a bit if you're still smoking. You need to eat healthy. and you need to get plenty of rest. So rest was not a problem for me, or at least that's what I needed to do. Rest was never a problem for me because I'm tired constantly still. 8 months later, I am just exhausted. I drive for like 2 hours and it feels like I've been driving for eight. So that's a little frustrating. Doing the brain activities every day, learning a new language, um, new to me, Spanish. I had 2 years in college, but it didn't really stick. And then I'm also learning how to use, I've always had an interest in photography, and, I was always going to retire and take wildlife pictures. So but I was not a great photographer. So I wanted to learn how to take pictures, and, started really delving into the best way to learn. And, YouTube's amazing. You can learn anything on YouTube, and basically you can learn anything for free. So you can learn it for free. You can pay to have it accelerated. But if you really put some time into it, you can learn almost anything for free. It just might not be as quickly as you might want. But so I really committed to researching how to take better pictures, how to use the camera. And it was a little difficult because I'm not retaining everything the way even I would now. And it's very tiring learning when you have a brain injury. It's just any amount of energy that you exhaust is probably multiplied by two, because all of your body's energy is still trying to heat, is still because all your body's energy is still trying to heal you. You're trying to make everything better, whether that be a surgery site or your brain. I mean, the way it was explained to me is that the car accident caused the connections between your brain and your memories to leave. So we have to rebuild and reteach your brain how to function correctly. So there are a lot of memorization stuff on that. And, so I dedicated to doing those exercises every day, even though I would be exhausted at the end. I just go to sleep, or I go to bed early. I was still sleeping probably 12 hours a day. But I also knew it was helping me get better. I could feel myself getting better. And I could feel my brain working better. And again, and if you've been through this, you'll know exactly what I mean. I would wake up thinking, oh, am I finally fixed? And I never was. But for people that knew me, I was doing so much better because they didn't see me every day. I was doing so much better than that after the accident. So they thought I was fine. I was far from fine, but I was improving. So at the end, we did the final test on my improvement from 35%. And this is probably the most important thing that I need to share with everyone who's ever had a traumatic brain injury or a stroke. But if you really commit to it and the doctors agree that it will improve, there is a lot of hope, unless they tell you that it's not recoverable. They never told me it was not recoverable. So came in at 35. They were hoping to get me up to 75, and I came in at 92%. That's, which, is a lot better than 25%. It's 17% better. But for some reason, I'm more focused on the 8% that's not getting me there to 100%. And with all the work I'm doing and all the memorization and all the brain training, I think I should be at 102%. 100%. And with all the work I'm doing and all the memorization and all the brain training, I think I should be at 102%. Or 105%, but it was the second highest level of improvement from a low to a high that the doctor had ever seen. So I was happy about that. I mean, I'm very fortunate in everything that's happened. I had great surgeons, I had great doctors, I had a good chiropractor, and I healed. But all that being said, it's also different now. I'm different. I'm not as intense. I'm not as sporadic or quick moving. I have to think about what I'm doing. I have to. I used to be a big multitasker. I can't really multitask. I could multitask 3 or 4 things. Now I have to concentrate on what I'm doing. And I don't know if some of this is because of old age, because I am 58. But I still have a huge distortion of time. I was talking to the lawyer. I'm like, it's been like 3 years since the car accident. He's like, well, actually, it's been 4. It's very frustrating. I just don't understand time. The time just flies away, which is scary because I'm half my life's over, more than half. So I want to try and make use of all the gifts I've been given and make sure that I live and do things to the fullest potential. So if you've ever had a brain injury, don't give up. There's different kinds. For me, I couldn't remember words. So, I would get to where if I was trying to think of a word like blue, I'd be like, someone asked me, what color is that? And I'd be like, oh, it's this color of the sky. I said, I can't remember the word right now. So that happened for a year but after I heard the word, you mean blue? Then I would remember it and I would remember it from then on. So that was kind of interesting. The other thing that happened with the brain injury was that I've lost my college years. So I really don't remember my college years. And I don't remember right before and right after the accident. But once it connects, I then remember it. And it's almost like remembering it over for the first time. It's very interesting. I watched all this TV during COVID and during the recovery of the accident because I was just so tired all the time. And I've forgotten what I had watched. It's very interesting. So I'll see it. I'm like, oh, no, I do remember that. I liked it or I didn't like it, whatever. So it's a very unique way to experience or re-experience the world. Some things I'm experiencing that I loved the first time, and I'm re-experiencing it for the first time again. So I get that same joyful emotion. But then I remember, I have done this before, but it makes me happy either way. So, and that goes for bad memories too. Like, I probably could have done without that one. So that's what's happening with the brain injury. And that's kind of my update for today. If you do have a brain injury, you do a lot of research. If you have a stroke, do a lot of research. And just know that it's important to stimulate your brain every day. And that's whether you have a concussion or not. If you're just older, I see it in my mom. The more she plays her games, the more she does crossword puzzles, the more she's active and in a learning mode, the happier she is because she's not bored. And 2, the more responsive and with it she is. So interesting for those of you who are taking care of elderly loved ones. Very important to keep them stimulated because it's almost like a use it or lose it situation when it comes to that brain function. So you don't want to regress. And as we get older, the tendency to regress, I think, increases. But I am not a doctor. That's just my experience. I thought I'd share it with you. And thanks for tuning in. And so we're kind of going over in my journey from the car accident in these videos. So we're about there. Next is we talk a little bit about all the surgeries, and then it's preparing for that stupid trial. So, and I don't think I'll bore you with that too much, but if you've been in a car accident, it's probably best you get legal representation, especially these days. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for coming by, and I hope to see you here again soon. Bye-bye.